Japan is an archipelago that is located off the east coast of Asia. The Sea of Japan, or the East Sea, borders Japan to the west. This body of water separates Japan from Siberia in the north and Korea in the south. Japan is very comparable to California in terms of land size. The country has a population of 125 million. It is made up of several thousand of smaller islands. Nearly the entire land area is covered by the country's 4 primary islands, which include Hokkaido, Honshu, Shikoku, and Kyushu. Honshu is the largest of the 4, followed in size by Hokkaido, Kyushu, and Shikoku. Tokyo, Japan's capital city, is located in east-central Honshu and is one of the world's most populous cities. Japan is covered by mountains, most of them heavily forested. Only about 15% of the land in Japan is suitable for living and agriculture. As you may imagine, with a population of 125 million, Japan is densely populated. Earthquakes are frequent in Japan, occurring more often than they are felt. It is said that ones that are big enough to be noticed by scientists occur every 3 days in Tokyo. Serious damage occurs only occasionally. Japan's mountains contain 10% of the world's most active volcanoes. Mount Fuji, Japan's most famous mountain, is a dormant volcano, which last erupted in 1707. Most of Japan is located in the northern temperate zone and has 4 definitive seasons: spring, summer, autumn, and winter. 2 of the most beautiful sights in Japan are the cherry blossoms in spring and the vibrant colors of the autumn leaves. Sakura, or cherry blossoms, are a symbolic flower of the spring, a time of renewal, and the fleeting nature of life. The life of a cherry blossom is very short. The blossoms start to fall just a couple of weeks after they bloom. During this season in Japan, people like to have cherry blossom parties with colleagues, friends, and family. They enjoy eating, drinking, and barbecuing underneath the cherry blossoms. This custom is called hanami. Hanami literally means watching blossoms, and the tradition can be traced back to at least 1,000 years. Shintoism and Buddhism are Japan's 2 major religions. While the Shinto religion is indigenous to Japan, Buddhism was imported from the mainland in the 6th century. Since then, the 2 religions have coexisted relatively harmoniously and have even complemented each other to a certain degree. Most Japanese consider themselves Buddhist, Shintoist, or both. Wafuku is the general term used to describe all traditional Japanese clothing. You will see that traditional Japanese clothing includes several types of garments. Your clothing and outward appearance is very important to the Japanese, since they are not the most verbal people. Visual appearance is the first line of communication. The naga juban refers to the garments worn underneath the kimono by both men and women. They are usually white in color and only show at the collar. Some naga jubans have detachable collars so that you can match the color to each kimono. Naga jubans are worn to reduce the need for kimonos to be washed. Kimonos are very difficult to clean, so the naga juban is practical since it is machine washable. A dachim is an undersash that's used to tie your naga juban. These are hidden under your kimono and are often decorative. A fundoshi is a traditional Japanese loincloth that was historically the primary undergarment for men. They were also worn as shorts by laborers and rickshaw drivers. In modern times, fundoshi are often worn to festivals involving feats of strength and endurance, such as carrying the mikoshi. It is uncommon for a man to wear a fundoshi by himself, and it is usually a team ensemble worn by men participating in a matsuri, the Japanese term translated as festivals. A mikoshi is an embellished palanquin, or portable shrine that is carried on the shoulders of participants. It is intended to bring the blessings of the kami to the community. Kami are the deities worshipped by the Shinto religion. Historically, it was rare for women to wear fundoshi. However, in recent years, some underwear have been marketed as women fundoshi. Still, they are quite different from the traditional form. It is important to note that the garment worn by sumo wrestlers differs from the fondoshi. The garment pictured here has a heavy belt, and it is called a mawashi. The Japanese word kimono literally translates to something one wears. A kimono is a full-length silk robe and is Japan's most famous traditional clothing for men and women. Kimonos were once worn on a daily basis by most Japanese people. In modern times, it is considered formal wear for an array of occasions. While men typically wear a simple black or brown-colored kimono, you will see there are several variations of the kimono for women. The style of a kimono a woman chooses to wear is determined by multiple factors, including her age, marital status, symbolism, and the type of occasion. An obi is the sash tied around the kimono to hold it in place. Approximately 400 years ago, the obi was just a thin waistcord. It is said that the width of the obi became a little bit wider in the beginning of the Edo period, around 1600, and became as it is today in the middle of the Edo period, around 1700. The obi is often the most expensive part of the kimono. Obi come in a wide variety of patterns, lengths, widths, and materials. The differences in obis indicate levels of formality. Each obi has some sort of symbolism. Men's obi tend to be short and thin. They typically have simple patterns or stripes. Complicated showy knots are associated with young women in festive occasions. Simpler subtle knots are associated with maturity and formal events. A junihito is a 12-layered ceremonial kimono that was worn by women of nobility, such as a princess or an empress. A sokutai is a complex costume that was worn by aristocrats and the emperor at the Japanese imperial court. Sokutai can be broken down into two separate words. Soku means a bunch of something, and tai means a belt that binds up some clothing. The hat that completes this ensemble is called a kanmurai. Both of these costumes originated during the Heian period, which began in 794 and ended in 1185 CE. The junihito was the first form of the kimono. The furisodi is a type of kimono worn only by a single adult woman. These kimonos have long-hanging sleeves in the forearm. This type of kimono is often worn by young women to their coming-of-age ceremony when they turn 20. The coming-of-age ceremony is held every year on the second Monday of January. This holiday is all about welcoming the country's youth into adulthood. It's an important rite of passage for all young Japanese and can trace its roots back hundreds of years. A hakama is a pleated skirt-like garment that is worn over the kimono. Some variations look like pleated pants as well. Hakamas were traditionally worn by men, but today they are worn by women too. Historically, a hakama was worn by craftsmen, farmers, academics, and samurais. In present time, the hakama is worn for martial arts or for formal events such as graduation ceremonies. A hakama is tied around the waist and over the obi. In ancient times, a hakama was worn by the samurais, so that opponents would not be able to see their footwork. The hakama pictured on the left and center are ones that would be worn by men. Men usually pair the hakama with a haori. The haori is the loose-fitting, knee-length coat. That was a garment also traditionally worn by men. However, it has become popular among women too. This lightweight coat is another item of clothing used to keep the kimono clean. The haori himo is a woven string that is used to secure the haori. The formal color of this tie-up is white. That is worn during the summer. These robes can be worn to cherry blossom viewing parties, festivals, fireworks, and bathhouses. They are not quite a kimono, but the two garments are very similar. The distinguishing factor between the yukata and the kimono is their fabric. Yukatas are often made of cotton or linen, while the kimono is typically made of silk or wool. The happy coat originated during the Edo period in Japan. They were originally intended for men, but it was not long before women started to wear them too. Historically, house servants wore happy coats that were embroidered with the kamon, or the crest of the family they served. Shopkeepers also wore happy coats inscribed with the name of their business on the back. Firefighters wore these coats as as protective jackets and as a way to identify the firehouse they worked with. Today, happy serve as the team uniforms of Japanese festivals. Matsuri happy are simple cotton vests that are often used to identify a mikoshi team. Anyone wearing a happy has some official relationship to the festival. They are typically worn with an undershirt and short shorts or regular pants. In some cases, a happy may be paired with a man's fundoshi. Happy often come with matching headbands. And just to add a little bit of fun, here's a picture of the Beatles wearing happy coats. The word geisha literally translates into person of the arts. Geisha are professional entertainers in the ancient Japanese arts of tea ceremony, music, singing, dance, games, and conversation. Maiko, which means dancer child, are geisha in training. In contrast to popular belief, geisha are not prostitutes. Some 400 years ago, when the geisha profession began, the first geisha were men. They were equivalent to modern-day comedians, storytellers, and musicians, but they were quickly replaced by women. It takes up to 2 hours for a geisha to get ready every day. Traditionally, their faces were painted white to illuminate their beauty in the candlelight. Today, geisha only wear white makeup to important events and annual ceremonies. While Mayako style their natural hair, geisha wear wigs. Geisha kimonos are often handmade from silk and cost around $50,000. Some geisha will only wear a kimono once. They must learn to walk elegantly in oboku wedge sandals to keep the hem of their expensive kimono from touching the floor. Today, geisha are seen as modern-day celebrities in Japan. The young woman on the left is a Mayako. You can tell she is a Mayako since her obi is very long in the back. You can also see she is wearing the oboku sandals. The image on the right features a geisha standing on the left and a Mayako on the right. Again, you can discern the difference between the two women based on their obi. The final garments I will be covering are the tabi and zari. Tabi are traditional Japanese socks dating back to the 15th century. Ankle high with a separation between the big toe and other toes. They are worn by both men and women with zori, sandals made from rice straw or lacquered wood. These shoes are worn with a kimono for formal occasions.